Hey toy fans, Aaron here, and today taking a look at the Power of the Force release of Anakin Skywalker. And as you can probably already tell from what you're seeing in the packaging, this is not the prequel trilogy Anakin, but rather the figure based on Sebastian Shaw, who was originally shown at the end of Return of the Jedi. Looking at the card, this comes on what is considered the Flashback Photo line, still within that Power of the Force, so you get Darth Vader in the upper left corner, an updated look to the card transitioning from that green lightsaber look to this, well, still green. But gotta say, I do like the way that graphic looks behind the Star Wars logo. You get the Power of the Force below that, and then there behind the figure is that green lightsaber blade running down the card. Through the blister, you see our included action figure along with his accessory, name at the bottom of that blister, and then off on the left side, you're going to get a look at that flashback photo, which first gives you a look at the character you're getting as we saw him in the movie. And then even with this still in the packaging, you can pull that little yellow tab down and that will reveal the photo of Anakin Skywalker from episode 1, because this was the lead up to the release of that movie and getting us introduced to those characters. Here's a look at the back side of the card where things are looking really nice. First up at the very top gives you a brief description about Star Wars and starting to introduce that episode 1 movie into the, into the world. And it gives us a brief write-up about what the movie and that trilogy is going to be about. Below that, bio information about Anakin Skywalker, showing off both the older version, as we at that time were used to knowing Anakin Skywalker as, when he was redeemed to the light side of the Force. And then on the right side, we're going to see a photo of young Anakin Skywalker. Below that, middle of the card, are the other figures that were available in the line at this time. All of those on that flashback card. And then that bottom half gives you your advertisement for the new movie coming up, new figures, new vehicles that were coming out, and then of course your legal information. Taking a look at the figure out of the packaging, overall very, very basic action figure, which was still actually somewhat standard for the time. At least he's not, all jacked up on steroids. But you also don't need much more from this figure. I mean, all he did at the end of the movie was stand there. And truth be told, we're getting an interpretation of him as if he were alive. We only really saw him in this costume as a Force ghost. Now, a few months prior to this figure's release, towards the end of '98, we had the Cinema Scenes Force Ghost 3-pack. Within that was contained an Anakin Skywalker as a Force Ghost, which you see right here. It was just, this green blob of plastic. While the two figures are unique between each other, it certainly seems like the sculpting of this new figure was based on the sculpt, or at least the interpretation used to create that hunk of plastic. It's hard to make out a lot of the facial features, but certainly you can see there's a lot of similarities. Focusing back just for this release, like I said, it's a pretty basic figure, and overall, not a horrible figure. As far as the head sculpting, there's a close resemblance. Figures in the line back in this time, is basically all you could ask for was a close resemblance, and I think we're getting that here. He does have a goofy smile sculpted in for the look on his face, and he was kind of smiling at the end of the movie, so I guess it fits in. Detailing for the hair seems alright. It does have a bit of a salt and pepper look to it. And what other little painting is being done for the eyes and eyebrows looks just fine. As for the remainder of the costume, these outer robes, I love the sculpting to it. It has a very nice drape along the body. Some nice layers of fabric being sculpted in there, starting with the hood that's draped along his back. The majority of this outer robe is just a little plastic shell that is wrapped onto the figure. Pretty standard for the time. Unfortunately, what you get when you move the figure's arms up or back is going to be this big gap where the inner robe shows through, and that's a little messy. With the arms down though, it does blend very well with the brown outer robes that are sculpted onto his arms. You have a nice sculpting of those outer robes going down his arms. Some nice subtle folds and stuff sculpted in. And I do like at the front of his sleeves, you're not only getting the outer robe painted in with that brown color, but you're also getting a decent tan color to show off the inner robes that are kind of poking through. Coloring doesn't quite match up with the inner robe sculpted on the main body, but at least the point is still coming across. Hand sculpting, very large for the figures at the time. Thankfully, that is something that has come down in size over the years, but for the time frame of the figure, it certainly fit in line. Main body sculpting for the chest looks pretty nice. Dark brown color for his tunic. Decent painting for that. And then the rest of those inner robes have very nice sculpting to show off some texturing of the fabric and the way things are layered in. You got one side folded over the other. Belt detailing looks pretty good across the waist. And the rest of those inner robes just flow down the front of the legs. Still with some nice texture and some nice fabric layering being shown off. And that detailing does wrap around to the backside of his legs. Yes, this outer cloak shell is removable, but it leaves him looking weird with the dark brown sleeves. And then at the bottom, of course, you do see his feet sticking out, tan boots. Not much to say about that. Pretty generic. It is what it is. Getting into the articulation of the figure, head rotates a full 360. Same for both arms at the shoulder. Full swivel at the waist at the top of that belt line. And then due to the length of his robes, not a lot of room for the legs to swivel forward and back, but you do get enough movement to help keep him standing if you need to make any adjustments. And for accessories, comes with a single lightsaber, although we did not see him use it in the movie. Oddly, they seem to have given us what was used for Obi-Wan Kenobi earlier in the action figure line. It's an odd choice, considering we already knew that, he had the same lightsaber that Luke was using. It was, handed down to him from Obi-Wan as being his father's lightsaber, so I don't know why they wouldn't just have given him that one. Anyways, though, the look of the lightsaber is pretty standard for the time. Very pale blue color. Got it in front of this white background to help show it off a little better. Detailing at the hilt is pretty generic, just lots of circular lines sculpted in. You've only got some silver painting placed over that blue plastic. Mine's kind of chipped off a little bit here and there, and that's probably due to the age of the figure. And then here's a quick look at that flashback photo out of the packaging. I guess maybe it was something exciting at the time, as it was just another way to get a glimpse at the characters that we were about to see in the movie. The Star Wars logo at the top. But as I said earlier, you're getting a decent photo of the characters we saw him in the movie. Pull that yellow tab down, and that's going to reveal young Anakin Skywalker. Backside of this, nothing really to show off. It's just your legal information. And that's going to wrap this one up. So overall for me, like I said, it's a very basic action figure, which is just fine. We didn't see him do anything in the movie other than smile at Luke Skywalker. And with the release of these special editions at this point, this version of the character doesn't even exist in the movies anymore. But back in the day, considering this is all we knew old Anakin Skywalker to be, I will say it was nice to get this particular figure. And for its time, like I said, I think it was a pretty decent figure. So that's going to wrap this one up. I'd definitely like to know what your thoughts are on this figure in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.